JobKeeper payments webinar. Might give it a couple more minutes, or at least one more minute before I carry on. We have got a fantastic response with the webinar, so just bear with me. I'll give it another sort of 20 seconds or so and see all the attendees arriving, which is great. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, still a few attendees arriving. But yeah, the webinar is going to be recorded. Everyone's microphone has actually been muted. So if you do have questions, please enter these in the question panel and we'll answer them at the end. But yeah, I might get things underway. So a quick disclaimer, contents of the webinar really general in nature and really is for guidance. We will just really be jumping into how to get your file or your book JobKeeper ready. So it's not any professional taxation advice, and yeah, please consult your professional body for any further advice on your specific circumstances. So a bit about the presenters today. Myself and Corey, we've probably met you or met most of you at all the IPA congresses or other face-to-face events, but haven't things changed in the last couple of months? We're all adjusting to the new normal. But for those I haven't met, yeah, I've been working in the fintech sector for the majority of my career, enabling businesses of all sizes to become more effective through automation, automating those manual processes. So that's my passion. Corey, on the other hand, has been in public practice for a decade, has been consulting and training accounting software for a decade, has actually been an IPA member for 16 years and is actually a fellow. So I know a lot of you probably know Corey well, so you'll be in safe hands today. I just want to touch on Books Plus very quickly. For those unaware, I would expect most joining the webinar today being a bit more of a product session in software are IPA cloud advisors. But yeah, IPA Books Plus is an industry first partnership exclusively for IPA members and their clients, and really was introduced to help you all overcome the challenges of STP compliance and more recently JobKeeper. Quick rundown on how it works. Modular structure, very scalable. You start with the core or payroll, as you can see, that's now a standalone module, and you add your other modules, invoicing, bank data, time, expenses, and projects. Fantastic USP or point of difference really is that unlimited functionality. You can have unlimited users, unlimited employees in the payroll module, unlimited invoices for no extra charge. And the same applies for those other modules. Just finally, just to touch on the benefits before we jump into the crux of the webinar today. It's scalable, as I've mentioned, very, very affordable. One module, payroll, for example, starts off at $7 a month. If you had all the modules, you'll be looking at $43 a month. You can collaborate very easily with your clients on it via the portal. And all IPA members, once you become a cloud advisor or partner, you receive complimentary subscriptions. If you're adding a number of clients, 50 clients, you'll get 50% of your IPA membership as CBD redeemable points. And if you're adding 100 clients, you'll get 100% of your membership in CBD redeemable points. And last but definitely not least, we have extended our partnership and offering all PPC holders 5 free subscriptions. So essentially, you're getting 6 subscriptions. 1 when you become a partner, and you have those 5 free subscriptions to use for your clients. So please contact your local business development manager, find out more information about this, or head to member inquiries at ipabooksplus.com. But yeah, without further ado, I might hand you over to Corey to start working through the process on setting up JobKeeper. Hope that's given you a quick overview, and you enjoy the rest of the webinar. Corey, over to you.
No worries. Thanks, Will. Good afternoon, everybody. I see a few familiar names coming through on the list there as well. So what I'm going to take you through is just how to set up JobKeeper in IPA Books Plus and how to process JobKeeper within there. You guys as accountants, you're all over what JobKeeper is, who's eligible, all that sort of thing. I'm not going into that side. I'm just showing you how we actually go through it and do it in IPA Books Plus. So first of all, we just want to have a look at the key action items that we need to do. So comparing that March 2020 figures to March 2019. So you see if there's that 30% or greater than 30% drop in revenue, how we're going to identify those eligible employees, creating the new pay items that are required by the ATO, and then also processing the Payrun as well, and then submit that STP data off to the ATO as well. So what we need to do is, just before we go any further, and I'm going to show you this, and I've already got them created, but I'm going to show you this. We need to create 3 allowance pay items. So they're listed up there on the screen, that JobKeeper Start -FN, and the XX is depending on what fortnight that the employee is eligible from. There's a finish FN, which is really only used if an employee leaves the business in the time JobKeeper is running. From my understanding, it will just, if they're there the whole time for when it stops, it's just going to stop naturally, so you don't have to do it at that point. And then the JobKeeper, which is top up, which is where we have the actual $1,500 being added onto the employee within there. So we've got those different things there of what we need to use. Now, just one thing, they do need to be in exactly the same format, that full uppercase as is sitting on the screen there. The start only needs to be used once on the very first one. Top up will be on that first one, and then going forward, top up is the only one that will be used within there. So what we'll do, let's go and jump into Books Plus now, and we'll go and have a look at how this will look in there. So I've come in here, and the first thing that I want to have a look at is just thinking back to those action items that we want to have a look at. Is I want to go and have a look at the profit and loss. So I'm just coming down into that report center, and I've already got one already created, run here, just make it a little bit easier on that setup. I can generate that profit and loss. So I've got my profit and loss set up, and I've chosen the following dates as my reporting period and the month of March 2020. And then we have, after that, the comparison period, which is the following dates, which is the first of, for the prior year being 2019. Under the show more options in Books Plus, so we have a couple of cool little features in here, is we've got this variance down here that's turned on by default. So I've got the percentage variance there. And when I refresh that, it's going to show that on the screen there. So we've already seen that. So I can see that I've got a greater than 30% drop in income or revenue for that month of March to March, being 34.1% here. So ticked off first part of what I need to do for the for JobKeeper. The next thing that we want to do is we want to have a look at the list of employees. So going back into my report center, I'm going and looking for the payroll report. Or payroll category. When I'm in the payroll, the last one in the bottom right there is the employee list, and I generate that report. So I've generated this report. I've then customized this as well too, and I've picked up my 4 employees that I've got in here. So what I'm seeing here is key information that I want for JobKeeper eligibility. So I'm seeing full-time, part-time, for casuals, the ages of the employees, when they were hired, termination dates as well too. So if anyone's been stood down or whatever, we're going to see that information there, how often they're paid, and just that other bit of a clue is that tax-free, that tax scale in there. So I can see Jane Moneypenny there. She's a working holiday maker, so therefore she's not going to be eligible for the JobKeeper. So I'm going to have 3 of the 4 employees here that we can use JobKeeper for. So what we need to do now is, now that we've established all of that, is I need to run in and create create those new pay items that we need within here. So when I go into my administration cog, down into the settings, I look for payroll settings and I pay items. And I've got all my pay items here. So you can see I've already created the JobKeeper ones there. So how do I create that? I just very easily click on the add. It's a matter of choosing the allowance, and then I choose that the type is that, and again, JobKeeper, start FN, if it was, say, eligible from fortnight 2, or it might be fortnight 4, whatever it might be. So 02, I can give it as a description in there if I want as well too, to indicate the start of JobKeeper. Leave my add my expense account in there. So whatever expense account you wish to use, I'm going to use allowances in this case. Quantity is fine, default rate, and for the JobKeeper start and finish, we want to make this tax-free because it's only an indicator of one. It isn't it isn't anything to do. We're not putting any figures on this pay item when we've got an employee. It's just an indicator for the ATO as that the employee was eligible from fortnight number, whatever it might be. You'll notice the difference I have on my JobKeeper top-up one. If I just go and have a look at that one that has been created there, the information is much the same, except this one, the tax applicable is gross payments on that as well. Okay, so that's how I've created those in there. And then when I go into my pay runs, I can go into the pay run. I've already got a pay run that I've created within here just to make things a little bit easier. So create the pay run, as I've always done, same thing, a scheduled pay run, whatever it might be. And you'll notice I'll start with Felix at the top here. So I click onto Felix. So what I've done here is I've removed his normal earnings. So I've just hit the cross on the right-hand side. And I've then got go down to allowances. I've added JobKeeper start, FN01, and the top up. So Felix has fully stood down for that fortnight. He's eligible for the full $1,500. Moving on down, no supers calculated on this. It's entirely up to the employer. Of course, you guys know this better than I do of whether super's on JobKeeper or not. And the tax is calculated on the gross earnings there. If I move on down to the next employee, so as we know in the list, this is James. So James is earning more than $1,500 a fortnight. So I'm just leaving his salary sitting in here. And this is what with Felix, I just clicked across to get rid of his salary. But all I'm doing with James is because he's over 1,500, just indicating this is when he was eligible from this fortnight, done sort of thing. Don't have to worry about anything else. Next employee in on this list will be Jane. So as we saw before, Jane is a casual and she's also a working holiday maker, so a non-resident, so not eligible. So we just leave everything the same for her as it's processed from normal. Next thing that we'd have is under Teresa is the last one here. So Teresa's earning under the $1,500 in the fortnight. She has $900 there. And I've just got that indicator of the start and then the top up amount within here. So to make it up to that $1,500. Now, just while I'm on this pay run, subsequent pay runs for this, for ones that are getting the top up, so Felix or Teresa that have got the $1,500 coming in, I would just have the top up amount sitting at $600. That's it. For James, who's earning more than $1,500, there would be nothing in the allowance because we've already done that indicator at the start. We don't have to do it again once it's already up and running. So pay run's happy, finished, done. I just go through, I click on the actions, finish that pay run as I normally always do. And I can then, if need be, if I've got an error in there, I can undo that pay run and so forth. If you need to go backwards and do one because you've already done pay runs going forward, you can undo the pay runs. You can also just complete a unscheduled pay run by using the unscheduled one to indicate that start fortnight and any top-ups in there. So we've got a couple of different ways we can do that, but just the ordinary processing going forward. Once that's finalised, it goes into the single touch payroll area, just like a normal pay run. I've got this one here that we've just finalised. Click onto that. I can see the employees all sitting in there with their year-to-date figures, and I just click on Send to GovConnect. Send to GovConnect sends that data over, and what happens then is if I go into here, I open up my GovConnect tile, the STP tile, like we do all the time. That latest pay run data is going to be showing within here, so you can see this data is there on the 26th for employees total gross, and I can click on Submit, or I can click on the detail and see that employee list. So I can see for Harvey, this is another screenshot I had. So the first one here, this was Felix in our example, $1,500 on the allowance. Teresa's got that $600 there as well, nothing for the others. I can click on the detail again next to any of those, just see that full information, and I can see down the bottom here, the allowances for the JobKeeper start and the top up within there, and those indicators within that. Finally, the last thing around the JobKeeper subsidy, and that is entering it into IPA Books Plus. So I can do the traditional money in, receive money, choose the contact being the ATO, how it was paid, and the amount of the subsidy. So what I've done is gone into the chart of accounts. I've just created a brand new account in there called JobKeeper Subsidy. And then I've just allocated the amount I've received from them. So if I just scoot back into here, the chart of accounts I have sitting at the top there. I've got the income there. We can see the JobKeeper subsidy. I just click on the add, and that's where I just fill in the details, the name, description, the type, and so forth. It has been, I believe, has been said by the ATO, this is one that doesn't have a tax code at all on there. So it's one of those ones, a bit like wages, super, that sort of thing, that no tax code is required in any shape or form. That received money is just clicking over onto the received money. I've just clicked add the received money. I'll just show you the same thing that was just on that screenshot. Clicked on add, and I've completed those details. Now, of course, it's under the new tab. Now, of course, if you're using the bank feeds, on the bank feeds, you'll see that money coming in. You can just allocate that straight from the bank feed to the contact in the account that you want it on. So we've got those couple of different ways that we can do that. So if you do know, so you can see the JobKeeper is fairly short and sweet of what we need to do. That's only a couple of extra little things that we need to add into there. And then all the payroll processing, everything that we've done is the same as what we've done, the JobKeeper, the STP submission. The wonderful help site, help.ipabooksplus.com. Do a search on JobKeeper. There's the there's different things that we've been through there. Same screenshots with this video as well on setting up each of those pay items, processing the pay runs, and what we need to do within there as well. So what we've got now is we're just going to have some time from any questions of what you've seen there. As I said, it is a short and sweet one. If you think of something afterwards, as Will was saying earlier too, just or having any issues, get in touch with us at member-inquiries@ipabooksplus.com. I'll open it up to questions. I notice there's a couple in there already. A couple of people have had some issues with just the sound there. I apologise for that. We have recorded this, so it will be available. We'll send it to the IPA to go up onto the YouTube channel as well too. So it will be in there. Just a question around the presentation slides. What we'll do is we'll make sure that the video is provided to everyone, because the presentation slides aren't including everything that you need to do within there. So the video will be provided, and as I say, it'll be up on the YouTube channel for the IPA as well within there. There's a question around turnover drop tests. Is alternative test calculator included? So this is Books Plus. We haven't made any changes. If you need to do alternative tests there, you can run the reports, grab the figures out of there, but this is just basically showing you what's there. We're just fortunate with the way we've built IPA Books Plus. There is that variance column in there anyway. That was nothing that we did special for JobKeeper. So in there. Just a question around just how will it look. So it's just going to show up as from what I understand, and you guys are going to know this one a lot better than I do, will show up as just an allowance on the income statement for the employees. I might be able to have a bit of a play around. Let me, just because we have a little bit of time up my sleeve at the moment. I can process the end of financial year stuff let me just get rid of that one. For here, add this, let's have a look. For employees. Let's look at Teresa's, for example. So no, so I'm not going to see that in here because we're not seeing that detail within there. So yeah, from my understanding, it will just show as an allowance on the income statement that they will receive. So if you do have some questions, pop them into the questions box, and we'll answer any of those. And as I say, if anything does come up, but I want to thank everyone for attending today. That is all we have at the moment to show you on JobKeeper in IPA Books Plus, and we look forward to seeing you at. We'll hang around for a little bit longer as well too, but look forward to seeing you all at a later point in time. I don't know if you have anything you want to add there as well, Will.
No, yeah, totally agree. Yeah, looking forward to seeing all of you in person, hopefully in the not too distant future. But yeah, we'll hang on definitely for another few minutes if any more questions come through. Yeah, love to take any more. But otherwise, yeah, it'll all be accessible online.
Nothing coming through at the moment, so I'll just, as Will said, we'll just give it a couple more moments, but yeah, we'll thank everyone for attending there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, pleasure to have you.
So just a question that's just come through there, full amount of the JobKeeper or the top-up amount of the payment depends on the circumstances for the employee, whether they're eligible for the full amount, whether they're only getting the top-up, it'll be whatever is going to be showing for them. Like I had the $600 there for, if I just go back and look at the Payrun here for, say, Teresa, for example, because the top-up amount is the allowance. It's not, because she's still receiving her normal salary in there. So as far as I know, it's only going to be the top amount that shows, because the other one's just her normal salary because she's still working. But I'll have a listen to the have a chat with the IPA and your peers there and that on that one. As I say. So yeah, so from my understanding is the 900 will show as their normal earnings and the 600 will show as the allowance for this one. So just a question there, will everyone get the same amount as, so the JobKeeper payment amount is $1,500 that's paid for eligible employees. How that then gets distributed to how that then works its way down to the employees depends on the on the circumstances. So you can see from the example that I have here, I've got fully stood down employee, so they get $1,500. Someone who's not stood down working, they get a top up to $1,500, but there's still $1,500 for each of those. So there's $1,500 for all employees that goes through in there. Just varies around how it all is in there. If I'm not a tax advisor, so I can't really advise on the whole thing. So if you do need some more clarification around that, I recommend reaching out to the IPA or to your peers to work around that one there. So the pay run not the same as the ATO fortnight for JobKeeper. So the fortnight is based on the date that it was the fortnight that the pay is paid in. So it doesn't have to match up exactly. It's just going to match up on the payment date. So if it was paid on the 28th of the 5th, so whatever that fortnight falls into. So that's where they're looking there for that fortnight. The fortnights don't have to line up exactly. So super, so it's entirely there's stuff on the ATO about whether super is on JobKeeper. I'm not in a position to answer that one. I recommend having a read of that or reaching out to the IPA around super on JobKeeper. So we get a couple more minutes here as well for any other questions coming through, and then we'll wrap it up. As I say, we have recorded this, so we'll send this out later, so it can be watched back as well too. All right, I'll give it another minute here and see if we have any other questions coming through as we're getting up to the end of our time slot for the webinar. But thank you all for attending. I'll just give it another minute, and yeah, if anything comes up, just feel free to get in touch with us. It's as you can see, email up on the screen there. But want to thank everyone for attending. Have a great day, and we'll hopefully see you around in person at some of these things later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Thanks all for attending, and thank you, Corey. Looking like we're running out of time, but yeah, I look forward to seeing you on any future webinars down the track.
Just got one other quick question just coming through. When you go to it depends how you set up where you want the allowance to go. See, I set mine to go to a particular account, but it's entirely up to you how you actually set that up. So if I refresh the P&L, no, not refreshing the P&L, that won't help me. If I go this financial year, and I'll just go no comparison, refresh that. So in this case, you'll see I'm seeing a JobKeeper subsidy coming up, and I'm also seeing the allowances, but it depends entirely how you structure when you set up the allowance, where you want it to go. You can tell it the expense account is allowances, or you can just call it ordinary wages, entirely up to you. So all part of your setup. So we just hit 3:30 there, so we might have to wrap this all up. I know everyone's busy, and so I'll just give it another moment here, and then we'll wrap this up. So if anything does come up later on, just flick us an email to the member inquiries at IPABooksplus.com. or also reach out to the IPA as well too. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'll end the webinar. I want to thank everyone for attending, and we will see you all again shortly. Thank you very much, and goodbye.